There have been a few deals that have come down, but obviously we're still waiting on the biggies. We're waiting on Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. And Blake Snell and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all the while, we're trying to figure out how a team that went to the World Series last year in the Diamondbacks, how do they get back there? How do they get better? What do they do? Well, we saw what they did a week ago. They made a trade for Geno Suarez, the third baseman from the Seattle Mariners. Good power guy, strikes out a lot, draws his fair share of walks, decent defensive third baseman under control for the next couple of years. A good upgrade, certainly over what they had a year ago without costing them a whole lot. But there's a lot of needs for the Diamondbacks. And the name that is being associated with the Diamondbacks now, and you and I actually had a conversation about this off the air yesterday, and I'm only saying that because I do feel like, not that we were ahead of this necessarily, we probably should have brought this up yesterday. We had a shorter show. Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, what I told you yesterday is that the Diamondbacks like him. He's Super 2, therefore very pricey in arbitration. That's why Tampa could be looking to move him. But the D-backs do like him. He has 3 years of control. The bad news is the amount of money you'd have to spend to keep him.
I don't think that's the bad news.
Yeah, that's... Yeah,
I don't think
because it's like $9 million probably this year in arbitration.
That's not the bad news.
3 years of control, you'd have to give up a lot. So this is what I told you yesterday, that they do like Arozarena, that he's Super 2, that he's very pricey in arbitration, and that's why they may look to move him. What I can tell you today is that they have had discussions with they've talked with Tampa, but they have not gotten to the point of discussing, can we start talking about players for a trade? They'll kick the tires on it. They'll look at it. The Diamondbacks, as I tweeted out earlier today, they are looking for a right-handed bat. That's number one. Number two, an outfielder. And by the way, that could be the same guy. A right-handed bat that's an outfielder could be the same guy.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Right-handed bat, outfielder, starting pitcher. They would like a designated hitter, but it could come from somebody that is just a position player. If they're kind of against going to get the J.D. Martinez type unless everything else falls in line. If they get a right-handed hitter and they get an outfielder and they get a starting pitcher, maybe they could take a look at. But their preference is that their designated hitter can maybe back up Christian Walker and give him a little bit of a spell at first base every now and then. That a guy that may be able to play in the field somewhere for a few games.
For a little bit, but not a lot.
Not 15, 20 games, not a whole bunch. I mean, you're not going to take Christian Walker out of the lineup. He's a Gold Glove first baseman. But, you also look, was he worn down at the end of the season? Because he plays so much, and that's why they're looking for a guy that might be able to spell him a little bit here and there.
The financial cost is not the problem here. The prospect cost is the problem here. And my problem, I don't mean like, you can't do it because it's going to cost you X, Y, and Z. I'm just saying that the thing that's going to hold you back from doing this if you're the Diamondbacks, I don't think it's because Randy Arozarena could make $7 million in arbitration next year or $9 million in arbitration. Based off of what they've earned through their trip through the postseason, I would assume they'd be able to afford 3 years of Randy Arozarena where he's making $7 million, then $11 million, then $18 million if he continues on the trajectory that he's on. The thing is, you're dealing with the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're going to want top prospects.
Right.
And they
have not gotten to that point where they've discussed prospects.
They are going to leverage interest from other teams against each other to the hilt.
They got a great player that's young and in his prime and 3 years of control.
Yep. And so if you want to come to the table, it's not about the check that you need to write. It's about how deep into your prospect inventory are you willing to go? Because there are teams who are going to look at Randy Arozarena and they're going to say, yep, he's the missing piece. He's exactly what we need. Now, if you say...
would you look at him as the missing piece for the D-backs?
I think they still need a starter. I don't think I think he would be a tremendous acquisition. I really like Randy
28
Arozarena.
years old. The last 2 years, he's had 89 and 83 RBIs. He's hit 20 home runs in each of the last 3 seasons. Batting average lifetime 265. I mean, this is a really good baseball player.
Yeah.
And again, 28 years old. It's not like he's 32.
Power dipped a little bit last year. He went from 41 doubles and 20 home runs in 2022 to only 19 doubles and 23 home runs in 2023. So be a little worried about that, right? Just a little bit.
Sure.
Like, okay, where'd the power go? Is there something I need to know about there? But in terms of how he defends, in terms of his wins above replacement, I think I read today Like, if you took his season last year and you put it on the Diamondbacks to be like the third best wins above replacement on the team.
Wow.
I mean, like, okay, sign me up for that.
Yeah, no,
if you can get that.
The D-backs have interest. They have interest. You name, like somebody said, what about Jorge Soler? Is he a right-handed outfielder? Yeah, right-handed. Yes, they have interest. That they are looking at a lot of these guys. But I can tell you that there have been talks with the Rays, but not discussions on players. They're not at that point yet where I can tell you they're in discussions about trading for Arozarena. They're looking at it, and they're talking with a lot of different teams, and the Rays are one of the teams they've spoken with.
How high would you go? Drew Jones?
No.
Jordan Lawler? Jordan Lawler is higher than Drew Jones, so I would assume no on Lawler.
I'd probably leave the top two out, and then I'd be open to my pitching. I'd be open to to one of my good young pitchers, not Brandon Pfaadt. But if you like Henry, if you like, any of my Dre Jameson, if you like any of my young pitchers, I'd be willing to give one of those guys up. And I'd be willing to give up some prospects that are top 10, but not the top 2.
Okay, because top prospects, Jordan Lawler's number 1.
Who's the Asian pitcher?
Yu-Min Lin. The left-handed pitcher double-A pitcher. Lefty, who I'm assuming, given that he was at Double-A last year, is probably
closer,
a year away, but closer. Yeah, I mean, Drew Jones still in A-ball. He still got away. So it goes like this: it goes Jordan Lawler.
No,
he's the number 1 prospect. Drew Jones is number 2.
No.
Tommy Troy, the guy they just drafted, is number 3.
Okay, I'd start to think about that.
He's a shortstop. Yu-Min Lin is 4. Davison De Los Santos, third baseman, first baseman, a corner guy. He is number 5 on the list. Then you get into Gino Groover. Some of these guys I'm frankly not familiar with.
I mean, but
Gino
I'm
Groover, Jack Hurley.
I'm open to that. I'm getting an outfielder who hits 20 homers and drives in 80+ runs and hits for a decent average, and he's only 28 years old, and I've got control for the next 3 years. Like, you got to give up something to get something.
Well, and that's the point. Is like we can see here, and Mike Hazen's never struck me as the kind of guy who's as the kind of general manager who's been like super obsessed with, I gotta hold on to my prospects real tight, super tight, crazy tight. I gotta the future of my organization. He always strikes me as a guy who, if I've got a prospect, he said on record, I'm not trying to win the best farm system award every single year. I'm trying to win a World Series. And in order to do that, sometimes you got to take a chance. And what you have to do is you have to self-evaluate. Mm-hmm. You have to look in your system and go, this guy, and I'm just going to use Drew Jones as an example. All of baseball thinks Drew Jones is the number 2 prospect in my system. He's not. I know he's not. I know he's not going to be that good. And again, I'm just using him as an example. I'm going to deal him while he's got this crazy belief that he's going to be really good, because I believe in my heart. My scouts are telling me, yeah, we're looking at him every day. He's just not that good. That's when you make that deal. And you have to trust it. You have to trust that your guys scouting yourself kind of know what they're talking about, because when you do that, people are going to be like, oh, my God, you just gave up the number 2 prospect in your system for 3 years of Randy Arozarena? What the hell are you thinking over there? You got to believe in it.
Sometimes you make mistakes, Dansby Swanson, and sometimes you don't. I mean, look at the Diamondbacks when they traded Paul Goldschmidt. They got 2 prospects back. Neither one of them were any good. When they traded with the Astros, they got 4 prospects back for Zach Greinke. 4. None of those guys were any good.
And a bunch of them were in their top 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but they weren't any good.
But that's what I mean, is that the Astros looked at him and said, yeah, we can.
These guys aren't going to be great.
We can get rid of Seth Beer. We're fine.
Right.
We can get rid of who were some of the, it was.
The 2 pitchers.
Yeah, but
Martin.
Oh, that's Corbin Martin. Corbin Martin. Corbin Martin.
Don't forget about my boy JB
Buskaskis.
And then they got Josh Rojas. That was the 4.
Nothing against good players, but replaceable players.
Sure.
Disposable players. Mm-hmm. Do you have some of those in your top 5 that you can kind of sell the Tampa Bay Rays on? I don't know. We'll see. It's either going to take dollars or it's going to take prospects in order for the Diamondbacks to get where they want to get this year. There's no doubt about that.